Hello everyone, it's David again. We are on Season 5, Episode 7, Secrets of the Soul of Babylon 5. We start off with Dr. Franklin interviewing and doing an assessment of a Pachmara. Okay, great. He tries to give what we call barium as part of an upper GI series. I've had to do that many times. So I feel for Dr. Franklin. At any rate, we learned that the Pachmara, of course, are always the chosen of God, as all species are. And we learned that they cannot eat of the fish of the sea. But they can eat everything else that is 5 days dead. So he wants to do an upper GI series. He gives the Pachmara an upper GI prep, and he goes outside the room, and the nurse is finishing up giving it. In the memorable scene, the Pachmara throws it up all over everywhere, and you just see the nurse running for her dear life outside the room. And yeah, so can't give a barium swallow. Thank God you didn't try a barium enema with the Pachmara, as he's trying to put together his compendium on aliens and diseases. A guy named Peter joins up Byron's group, and we learn that Peter is a telekinetic. And he's learning, will become pretty important later on in several of the episodes. We cue the entrance. Lyta has an angry confrontation with Zach about Byron and his people. Well, Lyta is pointing out to Zach, hey, I'm one of his people. Zach doesn't like Byron. But Zach, unfortunately, hasn't worked up to tell the Lyta the real reason why he's starting to get feelings for her. And Lyta basically challenges him, and Zach, kind of like the wilting flower, doesn't have the courage to say what everybody knows is on his mind. And basically, Lyta says, if he, and I'm paraphrasing, if Byron asked me to follow him into hell, I'd do it with a smile on my face. And you can just say, cringe and say, oh, Lyta, come on. That's going to cost you, girlfriend. Anybody, if anybody says that to you, you know they're automatically following the wrong person. Because the only people that would want to lead you into hell are people who don't have your best interests to begin with. At any rate, Byron gets in a confrontation with the local punk and down below, and he asks the guy to punch him 3 separate times. And it reminds Christians instantly recognized this as out of the Bible, and I'm quoting from Matthew 5 verse 39. But I tell you not to stand up against someone who does you wrong. On the contrary, if someone hits you on the right cheek, let him hit you on the left cheek too. And I was taught slightly different. If he hits you on the right cheek, offer unto him also the left cheek. Depends on which version of which Bible you want to read it from. But it's kind of an ancient Christian parable about, don't have to get up into somebody's face. You don't have to, if they're going to beat you up. And the guy, basically Byron says, was 1 the same as 3? Was 3 the same as 2? And he's like, what? And basically the guy walks away having made a total idiot of himself, and Byron not having to raise a finger. Dr. Franklin meets with an alien race that is part of a gerontocracy, the Hayek. And these Hayek have a very dirty secret that Dr. Franklin stumbles upon. We learn that violence is the way of the mundanes, and Byron and his group is so far, Byron and his group are just so far up there. Another warning sign that you're following a cult leader. When they have their own language, mundanes, teeps, teaks, when they think themselves above even other telepaths and other telekinetics. Lyta and Byron kiss, and the other telepaths hug Lyta because I don't belong to them. And Byron goes out and says, Lyta doesn't feel like she belongs here. What do you guys say? And they all come and hug Lyta, and they must be sending her some sort of telepathic messages. You get, like, oh, we love you, sister, and hug, and they do all of that stuff. What we call love bombing. Okay? And you get this warm fuzzies, and you get to see all the goodness in these people, and they can't possibly have nefarious motives when they do things like this. Dr. Franklin finds out the Hayek are hiding something from 800 years ago, but he doesn't know exactly what. And so he says, some other races have had contact with the Hayek a lot longer than we do. I wonder what happens if I look through their records. Peter, the telekinetic from earlier, is attacked by the thugs that hit Byron. And he's pretty badly brutalized. Byron and Lyta get word, and they immediately, of course, go to Med Lab, where Peter's being administered, and Byron should say, tells Dr. Franklin that he's a special case, take good care of him. And all of a sudden, one of the medical trays that's right next to Peter basically picks itself up and throws itself across the room. And Franklin is like, what the hell was that? And Byron looks at him and says, as I told you, doctor, a very special case. So we learn that Peter's got some spidey powers to him. So, Dr. Franklin finds a Drazi record of the Hayek dough. Very rare. From 820 years ago, I believe it was. Right about that. Who are these Hayek dough, I wonder? Byron's people kill Peter's attacker, as Byron was arrested himself. Dr. Franklin finds out that 40 million Hayek dough were killed, but the Hayek themselves are dying off as a result of it. There was something in their genetic makeup that they developed separately. They came together, they were driven apart, and eventually the Hayek dough were killed off. So what happens if we find out that maybe, the Cro-Magnons or the Neanderthals or Denisovans, they were necessary for our development? Ooh, that could have been really scary, but of course, we are just continuously making more and more and more of us, so I don't think we're going to become extinct anytime soon, at least not for that particular reason. So, Byron and poor Dr. Franklin is nearly killed by the Hayek's assistant. The ambassador comes in and tells the assistant to basically stop. She admits that the Hayek themselves are starting to slowly die out, and without Dr. Franklin's help, unless they can replicate some process or something that they need, the Hayek themselves are also going to pay the ultimate price. And Dr. Franklin basically says, look, it's going to take the resources of you and your government as well as other governments, but you have got to start telling people the truth. If you don't, in the next several generations, you yourselves will become extinct. A la the Markhabs. If you don't start telling yourselves the truth about these sorts of things. Byron and Lyta end up making love. And as Lyta's defenses go down, they learn Lyta's secrets about the Vorlons. Lyta gets those black eyes. And you know something's going down when Lyta's eyes turn pitch black or pitch white. But they learn that telepaths were created on hundreds of worlds to serve as cannon fodder. And so Byron wants a homeland of his own. Here is a man who's in charge of his own little private cult, and now all of a sudden he has a mission. Okay? And he's going to call it Jonestown. I mean Byron Land or something like that. Who knows? But he also has a warning. If the mundanes don't give us what we want, we'll make them understand. Okay, what are you going to do? Just snap your fingers like that? Twinkle your nose and all of a sudden, oh yes, Byron, we're going to give you an entire planet of your own. Sure, here, especially one that's perfectly habitable and easy to... What do you think you're going to do there, Byron? You know, grow carrots outside and sell them on the open market? Do you people have any idea what it's like to even try and grow a vegetable garden? I mean, I don't know the first thing about, my mom had a little vegetable garden in the back of our house when I was growing up. I suppose I could, if the zombies, were to show up at my house, I could try something like that. But, I don't know the first thing about farming on any industrial scale. And even if I did, I certainly don't know anything about ranching or, I can clean and gut a fish out of my backyard. I'm sure that's a pleasant thought, but... if one of the mule deer, if I could even catch one, what would I do with the damn thing? I don't know what to do. But Byron thinks he's going to make a go of it with his own homeworld. You think that's a good idea or a bad idea? Letting the telepaths have their own homeworld. Be interested to see your thoughts. I think, on one hand, I think it'd be a good idea. It'd be a great way to get rid of your telepath problem. Just any telepaths that don't agree with you, just exile them to Byron's world. But at the same time, it's going to be a disaster for them because they don't know what they're doing. But Byron thinks he can make a go of it. At any rate, like, comment, subscribe, and share. And as many of you have probably noticed, Season 5 is not my favorite season. I don't hate the season, but it's kind of like, whatever. But even so, I always tell people watch every single episode because you never know. Because one of my all-time favorite Babylon 5 episodes is next Day of the Dead. I will see you on the next episode.